All right, have you ever looked at a piece of software and just thought, wow, this is elegant? What separates the good stuff from the truly great stuff? Well, a huge part of that secret sauce is a little something called design patterns. Today, we're going to crack the code on these things, these fundamental blueprints for building amazing software. So let's dive in and see how they bring some much needed order to the chaos of code.
First things first, to really get why we even need design patterns, we have to talk about what happens when we don't have them. And believe me, it's a situation that pretty much every developer has run into at some point.
I mean, think about it for a second. Would you ever try to build a house without a blueprint? Right? Just start hammering boards together and kind of hope it all works out? No way. You'd end up with a total mess. And you know what? Writing code is exactly the same.
Yeah, without a solid plan, your code just turns into this tangled web. Every single piece is tied directly to every other piece. And when that happens, trying to change one tiny little thing, it can set off a chain reaction of failures everywhere else. It's fragile, it's an absolute nightmare to maintain, and yeah, we call it code chaos.
So, how in the world do we get out of this mess? Well, it's simple, really. Just like an architect has their blueprints, a software developer has design patterns. This is that moment where we finally bring some sanity, some order to all the madness. So here's the key thing to understand. A design pattern isn't some finished chunk of code you can just copy and paste. Not at all. Think of it more like a template or a well-tested recipe for solving a problem that just keeps popping up again and again. It's a proven technique for making your code way more flexible and, just as importantly, easier for other humans to understand.
This whole idea really hit the mainstream with this book way back in 1994. The authors, who became famously known as the Gang of Four, they documented 23 foundational patterns that they kept seeing over and over in really well-built software. So this isn't just one person's hot take. It's the collective wisdom of the entire software community, all captured and refined in one place.
Now, 23 patterns might sound like a lot to take in at once, but don't worry. The great news is they're all neatly organized into 3 main categories, and this gives us a fantastic framework for, actually making sense of them all. So let's break it down. First up, you've got creational patterns. Think of these as the factory floor of your application. They're all about how things get made. Next, you have structural patterns. These are like the assembly line, focused on how all the different parts get put together. And finally, we have behavioral patterns. These are the air traffic controllers, managing how all those parts talk to each other. Let's dig into that first category a little more. Creational patterns, as the name kind of gives away, are all about the process of creation. They're like the manufacturing department for your code, taking care of the complicated business of making new objects. And their real genius is that they separate the how an object is made from the what is being made, which gives you a ton of flexibility. All right, next up, structural patterns. You see all these car parts here? They're designed to fit together in a very specific way to build a working car. Well, structural patterns do the exact same thing for your code. They help you assemble all your little components into bigger, more complex structures, all while keeping the final design efficient and easy to change. And last but not least, we have the behavioral patterns. These guys are the communication directors of your code. They don't really care about what your objects are. They care about how they talk to each other, how they pass around responsibilities, and how they work together to get big, complicated jobs done without tripping over each other. Okay, that's a lot of theory. To make this all feel a bit more real, let's zoom in on one of the most popular creational patterns out there, the good old factory pattern. Just imagine this. You walk into a pizza place. You go up to the counter and say, "I'll have a pepperoni pizza." A few minutes later, a pepperoni pizza shows up. Simple, right? You don't need to know about the ovens or where they get the dough or who the chef is. The counter, that's your factory. It hides all that complexity for you. All you know is you asked for a pizza and you got a pizza. And that is exactly how the factory pattern works in your code. Your main program, the client, it just needs a shape. So it goes to the shape factory and says, "Hey, give me a circle." The factory then deals with all the nitty-gritty details of actually creating a circle object and just hands it back. Your client code stays super clean, super simple, and completely detached from the messy creation logic. So we've covered the what and the how, but let's wrap this all up with the most important question of all, the so what. I mean, why should you actually care about using these patterns in your day-to-day work? Okay, here's the payoff. First, you get incredible flexibility. Adding a new kind of shape to our factory, super easy.
You also get something called loose coupling, which is just a fancy way of saying your different code modules aren't all tangled together in a big mess. But maybe the biggest benefit is that it creates a shared vocabulary. When one developer on your team says, let's use a factory here, everybody else knows exactly what they mean. And all of that leads to one thing: more robust, more reliable software.
And if you remember only one thing from this, let it be this. Please don't think of design patterns as a bunch of strict rules you have to go memorize from a textbook. That's not the point. Instead, think of them as tools that sharpen your problem-solving skills. They're a way of thinking that helps you write smarter, cleaner, and just plain better code.
So, as we finish up here, I want to leave you with a question to chew on. Think about the code you work on every single day. What are those annoying, recurring problems you keep running into over and over again? Because you know what? Chances are there's a pattern for that.